We are looking at enhancing the number hunt project from the YByte Python curriculum available at www.ybyte.in. In fact, a very interesting variation and an enhancement comes from a simple question, a simple observation as to why must this game only be played with numbers? Why can't I play this with letters? Look at my screen here. I have a modification of the game. The computer tells me it has selected a letter between A and Z, or if you prefer A and Z. Can you guess that letter? So let's try this. I say, for example, maybe I'll try, maybe the letter is G. It tells me my letter comes after that. So I'll try, for example, K. It says comes after that. Let's try, T comes before that. So it's between K and T. So K, L, M. Let's try M. Comes after that. Let's try P. Comes after that. So it's between P and T. So it has to be, let's say, try S. Comes before that. So P, Q, R. So it's either Q or R. Let's try Q. And it happens to be the right letter. Now in the second part of the game, we select a letter, computer guesses. Let's say again, I have chosen the letter P, P for Python. So let's try, I click enter and computer starts guessing from A because A is the first letter in the alphabet. Just like we used to start at 1, now we are starting at A. We say, well, my number is after that, so it's larger than that. I say L, well, it's larger than K as well. However, it's smaller than P, smaller than U. So, it's fine. I say, is it L? Well, it's larger than L. It's smaller than T. It's larger than M. Now notice the convergence has started to happen because we are switching between S and L. So is it S? Well, it's smaller than S. Is it N larger than N? Is it R smaller than R? Is it O larger than O? Is it Q? Well, smaller than Q. It is P, and yes, indeed, it is P. And it tells me it took 12 attempts to get this. Now, this is obviously quite interesting because, now that we do not have numbers, it makes us think a little bit differently because you have to think on the English alphabet. So let's see how we did this, right? In fact, the game that we built in the class can be modified quite easily. The backbone of this comes from this particular string called letters, which we are going to create. And what we will do is that we'll have every letter of the alphabet coming from into the string, starting from A all the way to Z in the right order. So this becomes sort of the backbone of this game. And when the computer picks up, instead of picking up a random number, we'll get the computer to pick up a letter from the string letters, and we'll do that using this module random, which we've already imported, and there's a function in there called choice. So I say random to choice letters. Basically it means pick up any one letter from these letters, which is kind of equivalent to saying pick up a number between 0, let's say 1 and 100. In fact, everything else will work pretty much the same, as we'll see in just a moment. To keep in mind, however, that now we are dealing with strings, which means we do not need to convert to integers. We'll also change the messaging a little bit accordingly. Also, it just turns out that the greater than sign keeps working as usual on letters of the alphabet. For example, S is seen as more than A because S comes after A. E is seen as less than G because E comes before G. And this simplifies the things for us. If you want to be very safe, however, you can in fact convert this letters to a lowercase as well, because the user might sometimes enter uppercase, which may cause problems, right? So, which may kind of cause confusion. So you can, if you want to convert lowercase, but not really needed either. So let's get on to the class game. Remember, the class game is still, picking up between say 1 and 100. What I'm going to do is that I'm just going to say, okay, look, let me create a string here called letters, and it's basically all the letters in the right order. Say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And what I will do is that I'll say, okay, let me just pick up a letter. I call it say chosen letter is random dot choice and letters. So basically it's saying, okay, go pick up one letter from here. Now obviously you must change the messaging. So I say I've picked an alphabet, an alphabet between, let's say, A and say Z. Can you guess it? Now I must so the done is false, that's okay. Now I must change my messaging a little bit. I must say, okay, guess the letter, let's say. But now, very important, remember the guess itself is an integer, is a string. We do not need to convert this to integer because now we are dealing with letters directly. So I'm going to remove that int. When it comes to, remember, my greater than and less than keep working the same way. So if my guess is more than the chosen letter, which means that I have, basically my guess is, let's say, for example, S, whereas the chosen letter is D. So my letter comes before that. So I just change this thing a little bit. My letter comes before that, or like you can also even say is smaller than that, but it's just more easier to say letter comes before that. And I say this is equal to say chosen letter. Now remember, this is all string comparison, so I just go and say my letter comes say after that. And finally, if this is equal to say chosen say letter, then that is correct. And in fact, amazingly, this is really all we need to build that alphabet game. And we can see this in action right now before we go to the second part. Let's say I run my code. It says I picked up a letter between, picked up an alphabet between say A and Z. Picked up a letter. So guess the letter. I say I try, for example, G. It tells me my letter comes after that. So I'll try, for example, T. My letter comes before that. Let me try, for example, M comes after that. So, let's try P. It comes after that. So it's P and T. So P, Q, R, S. Basically, it's either. So let's try R. That happened to be correct. In fact, I took 5 attempts to do it, but amazingly, I got it. And now the game is fully functional for letters. Let's now think about how do we do the second part of it, where the computer will now have to guess the letter that I have chosen. In fact, it's quite similar, but does require a little bit more care. And the reason is that now the computer is going to have to pick up individual letters from the string. Previously, we just picked up one letter by doing random.choice because that was just one letter. But now computer has to go and pick up these letters and ask me, well, is this the letter? Is this the letter? And so on and so forth, which means that computer must start indexing into this string. Now, remember that string letters has 26 characters because there are 26 letters in English alphabet. Indexing starts from 0, which means that, we can get the individual letters as saying, okay, letter 0, that will be A, letters 1 is B, and I'll show you this thing, letters 24 and letters 25. Now, we are also going to learn about string indexing in quite a lot of detail as we go on, but this is a good practice. Also, we also want to make sure that as we are guessing, we do not go beyond this limits because that causes problems. So I'm just going to make sure that if my guess becomes more than 25, I'll fix it to 25. It becomes less than 0, I'll fix it to 0. In fact, this is also the same as what we were doing earlier because the range was 1 to 100. If my guess became more than 100, I limited to 100. If it became less than 1, I made it equal to 1. So really, philosophically is the same, but obviously the exact implementation requires a little bit more care. So let's just go here and first, if I, let's say it's Control C this, let me just show you this string letters is the entire string. If I were to do letters, say for example, 0, then that's an A. Letters, for example, 24 is Y, letters 25 is Z. If I were to try letters 27, I am going to get an error. So I don't want to get in that. Now let's get on with building the code. Basically, we get our computer to, let's say, guess. They can start from the 0th alphabet. So I said, let me have my computer guess, instead of, let's say, guess itself directly. Let me get my computer to guess, let's say, letters guess. So remember, now this is basically indexing into the string letters. So I ask my, user, is it, let's say, A, because I'm starting from 0. Also, my guess step seems rather large, so let's make it, let's say 6 or something. Of course, doesn't really matter, but we'll have to put some checks for it. So I asked my, player, is it, let's say, A, B, C, whatever, depending on the guess. Yes, S means I'll say smaller than that, so I just call it, let's say, before that, and larger than that, I just make it, let's say, after that, right? Again, you could leave it as it is. Now, this part remains exactly the same, because we need to we need to reduce the guess step. We need to reduce the step that we are making. Otherwise, the algorithm doesn't converge. However, here I put a catch that, okay, look, if my guess becomes more than 25, let me just limit it to 25 so that I don't have the problem of like going beyond the index. And if the guess becomes less than 0, I'll fix it to 0. And, with this, I think I should be pretty much done. We can actually see this working. Yeah, so let's see this working now, right? So first thing first, okay, so what I'll do is that for the first loop right now, I'm just going to set the done to true so that I can directly get onto the second while loop. Remember, if I set done to true, the first while loop will get, eliminated from the picture right now. So I can just get on with my game. It says your chance, select a number. Okay, so I need to change this, but I'll leave this, here, but I should have ideally changed this. So let's assume it's asking a letter between A and Z. And let's say the letter I've chosen is P, P for Python. So I say click enter when ready. It asks me, is it A? Well, no, it's larger than that. It tries, it is G because that's my guess step, is 6 in this case. I say larger than that. Is it M? Larger than that. Is it S? Well, P is smaller than S. So I say smaller than that. Is it tries its in N? Because now notice the step size has been changed. I say it's larger than that. Is it R? Well, smaller than that. It is O, larger than that. Is it Q? Smaller than that. Is it P? It is indeed P. So I say yes, and I took 9 attempts to get it. Everything works pretty much the same, but notice how string indexing is helping us build this game in a very, very interesting manner. Now you can pick up any letter, it will keep on working the way it is doing. I hope you found this interesting. In general, if you think that learning programming through fun activities like this makes it interesting for you, look at our website because we have many, many, many such activities for you. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.